Hello, everyone. I am Kurt Semder here to wrap up another week of Marlins Daily on the Fan Arch Network. And we are set for a big weekend of Marlins baseball as Miami will wrap up the first half at home, taking on the Cleveland Guardians. We'll take a look at that series in just a bit. But, I want to do something a little bit different today as we sit here. We're about a month away from baseball's trade deadline, and with the Marlins right in the mix of things right now, right in the race for the wild card spot, definitely in contention for the National League East title, there's a lot of talk about what the Marlins are going to do. And as we've mentioned in the past, and as any fan knows, this is a franchise that is known for trading off their best players, restocking the farm system, rinse and repeat every couple of years. But right now, this is a team that is, right as we mentioned, in the thick of things and has a chance to really go for it if they want to. The pieces are there. They need some more, that's for sure. And what they need to add and what they should do has been a big talk around a lot of baseball pundits as of late, trying to decide, what the best course of action would be for this team. As of a month ago, before June, it looked like this was a team that was going to be, as usual, making trades at the deadline, looking to build up for next year, trading off valuable assets, and going about the route like they normally do. But the tremendous 20-win month in June that they had, combined with just the strong play and rise in the standings, now has a lot of people wondering if that's even going to be the case and if the Marlins will go a different route and make some additions. And, you take a look at what they could do here, and I don't believe this is a team that's, one big piece away. Trading for Tariq Skubal, for example, or going out there and getting that big bat with a big contract. I don't think one big player is going to make the big difference for this team. I don't think they're one player away. I think what they should be trying to do, and what maybe Peter Bendick should be looking at, is trying to, make a bunch of little smaller moves here, improve the roster in a couple of different places, maybe looking at a bigger a power bat for the outfield, an upgrade perhaps in center field, as Jacob Marcy has been struggling mightily so far this season, perhaps at one of the corner infield spots. You've got a lot of flexibility with this roster with where certain guys can play. You can move some pieces around here if the right player becomes available. And then on the pitching side of things, they look good right now. I've seen a lot of talk about maybe the Marlins should add another starting pitcher. If Jansen Jung comes back from the injured list and looks good, then that would fix that problem. But maybe they need to add another arm in the bullpen, perhaps. There are places where Miami can make improvements and perhaps should look to make improvements if they are still in this spot or improved in the standings as they approach the deadline on August 3rd. And when you start looking at some of these things, you start to see, well, who's available, who might be out there that perhaps is attractive for Miami. And I was taking a look this week. ESPN's Jeff Hassan puts out a list of the top 100 trade candidates in his opinion, and guys who are possible to be traded during the course of this deadline as we make our way towards it. And it got updated this week, and there were a lot of names on there that were interesting, names that are on the team right now that perhaps the Marlins might be looking to trade, and some guys that perhaps they might be looking to acquire. So I want to kind of go through that a little bit, kind of see who caught my eye, who might be someone who's really attractive for the team. And when we talk about perhaps this team buying, which is what I think they should do, barring, an absolute collapse coming out of the All-Star break, I think this team should be looking to make additions rather than subtractions. And I started to go through the list and try to find some guys that might be attached to the Marlins or may look like they may be attractive. You look for people who fit the team not only on the field, but on the books. And when we talk about the contracts and finances, that's a big thing. You have a team here where most of these guys are not under contract or going to be possibly with the team next year. There's a lot of flux with this roster going forward. So you want to keep that going, I think, if you're Miami. I don't think you're there looking to take on a big contract and a big commitment in any kind of deal they make here. So you're looking for players who are entering their free agent year or guys who have only maybe 1 year left on their deal. So, looking at the list of players who are available here, the first thing I noticed was a lot of San Francisco Giants on the list, and that may be a team that the Marlins want to talk to and look into perhaps trying to swing a deal with, because they've got some interesting pieces there who might be available and might help this team out. Jung-Hoo Lee is one guy right there at the top of the list who was mentioned. He's an outfielder who could help them. He plays a lot of different positions as well, having a bit of a down season, but the thing that bothers me with him, and would probably bother the Marlins front office, as I was just talking about, is that contract. He's got 3 years at $21 million a year left on that deal. That just doesn't seem like the kind of thing that they're going to want to take on. And because he's got that much control left, probably would cost you a bit in terms of prospects. So I don't think he's a fit for this team. Matt Chapman, same exact idea. Corner infield bat. Could definitely help you to get some more power into this lineup, but owed a lot of money within the 4 years that are left on that contract, so I don't think he's a good fit. The guy who interests me on the Giants is someone who Marlins fans know well, and that is Luis Arraez. He is one of those guys who just gets hits. He just hits for average. He comes up big when you need him to, plays solid defense, and you could put him into your lineup and bat him pretty much anywhere. You kind of know what you're kind of going to get from him. They have similar players on this team right now. He kind of profiles a little bit like what Otto Lopez has been able to do so far this season for the team. Xavier Edwards to a degree as well. How much of an improvement, how much help he would be would depend on what they would want to do. You might have to play him at second base and move Xavier Edwards back to center field. I don't know if that's something they would consider. But he is a free agent after this season, so not much of a commitment there if he's the kind of guy you're looking at possibly bringing in. Another Seiya Suzuki from the Cubs, mentioned as a possibility if the Cubs looking to move him. They've got a lot of extra depth in their outfield, especially as Pete Crow Armstrong puts together just a tremendous season. So he's another guy who's a free agent after this season and might be a possibility for the Marlins. And Taylor Ward, outfielder for the Baltimore Orioles. And a guy who came into Baltimore this past season via trade, and he's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. Another guy who does have some power, does have some speed, does struggle a bit though with strikeouts. He could be somebody who you might be able to pop in there and help out in the outfield, especially in one of the corner outfield spots if you start moving guys around right now. So those are just 3 outfielders and 3 players that I thought about on that list that looked like they might be interesting. Look, if Boston's trading Wilson Contreras, give him a phone call. He would cost the Marlins quite a bit. You're probably talking about at least one of their top 5 prospects in any kind of deal like that. You're probably looking at having to trade a couple of people. He is under contract next season, though, just a year left on the deal, $17 million a year. There's a club option for $20 million the following year after that, but I'm sure you can cross that bridge next year. He would be a tremendous upgrade for them at first base and give them some pop in the lineup. Again, he's the kind of guy, he's right on that borderline, I think, of that one player away kind of trade that you'd make. I don't think he fits, but, I mean, he fits in their lineup, and he would help them tremendously. But for what Miami's trying to do as far as putting this team together, I don't know if he's going to be the kind of guy that would work. But if Boston's trading him, I would definitely call and see what they want for him, because that is the kind of impact bat in the lineup that you're looking for as we make our way into the final 2 months of the season. And we should just mention here that perhaps I talked about starting pitching being a possibility. Kansas City's Michael Wacha is having a great season. He's been very good. He's not owed a lot of money, got about a year left on that contract with the Royals. And he's a guy who, has a veteran presence, pitched in some big games. He could really help out this rotation, is slide in there as your 3 or 4 starter behind Max and Sandy. Just a guy who might be available and you might want to talk to and see if he's somebody who could add and help this team out down the stretch. So those are just some of the guys who the Marlins, might look in. Those are just some of the people on that top 100 list who jumped out as possible people who the Marlins could be talking about. Then what really caught my attention, though, when we talk about this list was, what about going the other way? And what if Miami comes out from the All-Star break and just has one of those 2 or 3 week stretches that we all know we've all seen they happen where Miami just can't win a game, or they lose 4 or 5 in a row more than once, and they fall out of this thing and they decide to go in the other direction. Well, obviously we talked about it many times over, but Sandy Alcantara becomes the first name on the list and the first person that you're looking to trade. And I know it hurts. It hurts to talk about trading the franchise's all-time strikeout leader. He has been here for so long, and he's been such a big part of this team and this community. But if they fall out of it, he's got to be the guy you're looking to trade. He's the most attractive person on the roster to trade. He's the only one who's owed any real money on this team next season, and it's a $21 million club option, a $2 million buyout on that. I know they don't want to, and I know they really would have liked to keep him. But if things go south, he's the guy who will bring back the most return. He'll bring back some solid prospects for you, probably some major league ready talent that you can start building on or add to this team for next year. And he is somebody who can help out a contender immediately. You hope he's going to be helping out the Marlins down the last 2 months of the season, but if he's not, he's got to be somebody who you're like taking phone calls on and have to be seriously considering trading if they fall out of it. The rest of the list caught my eye because what basically Passan listed here was essentially the Marlins bullpen. I mean, there's about, let me just count here, about 6 other names in his top 100 other than Sandy, and they're all in the Marlins bullpen. That makes sense because the bullpen's having a great season. You got a lot of solid arms out there. All of these guys don't cost you much money. You only have to pay them for the rest of the season, and then they'll be free agents at the end of the year. These are good quality bullpen arms for other teams. And the question then becomes, are any of these guys people you don't want to trade? Looking at the list, the one name that jumped out to me was Michael Peterson, who is just a hard-throwing young hurler and somebody who he's a guy you can kind of work your bullpen around going forward. He gets out righties and lefties. He gets it all done. He seems to really strive in some big, high-pressure spots. He's not closing for the team right now. That's Pete Fairbanks' job. We'll get to him in a second. But he's the kind of guy you want to have in your bullpen going forward. I wouldn't rush to trade him if I could avoid it. If I was Miami, I would try to keep him on the team. Fairbanks, had success with Tampa. He's had pretty good success here with the team so far this year. Good veteran presence and a good solid anchor at the back end, closing in that bullpen. But the type of player who can go and join a contending team and contribute immediately, not necessarily closing for them, but perhaps pitching in their 7th or 8th inning, as we've seen many teams the last couple of years try to build out bullpens heading into the playoff stretch. So look, Pete Fairbanks, Anthony Bender, Calvin Fauché, John King having a great season. These are just some of the names who, other teams may be calling Peter Bendix about to see if they're available. And if Miami does decide to go down the route that they are looking to make some trades here, then these are the kind of players that he's got to look to trade. And they can bring you back good return. We saw last year, some relievers getting traded for some pretty decent prospects. And that's what Miami should be looking to do if they end up going down that route. What do I think they're going to do? As I've mentioned, I really do think that they're going to end up adding to this team and not subtracting. I just got that feeling. They've played so well over the last 5 weeks that I think this is a team that's going to make a run, whether they make the playoffs or not. The good thing about having the team built the way they have it now, in the sense that, there's not a lot of contracts you're looking to get out of, and the team is basically in that state of flux, is that you can kind of go and make that risk. The only thing you're gambling at that point is missing out on adding prospects and new players for next season by not trading Sandy or by not trading the bullpen arms. If you decide to just keep everybody on the team, make a couple of small moves here and there and go for it, you're really not taking that big of a risk, not increasing the payroll very much, and you're not impacting future plans for the team going forward, which it's out there. Let's just talk about it a little bit also. Because of the impending lockout, got to take finances into account even more, because that's going to have a big impact, whatever happens there, on how the Marlins operate as a franchise going forward. And we're going to talk a little bit about that next week during the All-Star break, because I think that's a very fascinating subject about how things could change for how Miami does business when it comes to baseball here for you, the Fish faithful, because it may change a bit. But for now, the question being, what will they do at the deadline? I'm going to put up a poll. I want you guys to tell me what you think they're going to do. We'll talk about it a little bit more on Monday, if it's going to be a buying or selling situation. I tend to think most of you think like I do, that they're going to be buying. But look, these are the Marlins we're talking about. They've surprised us before. Maybe they'll do it again. Who knows? And maybe they'll surprise us in the other way and go the other direction, just add like a big, giant piece, whether it's a big bat or a big arm. Who knows? I don't see that happening, but stranger things have certainly happened. And now, as we make it our way here to the weekend, Miami wraps up the first half of the season at home. They got Cleveland in town here for 3 games. Nice series here against one of the teams battling with the White Sox for an AL Central crown. A good chance for Miami to test themselves, just as with Seattle, and an opportunity to head into the All-Star break with some momentum, finish the first half strong. Considering the month of June they had, I think that's something they definitely want to do. You definitely don't want to go into the All-Star break losing 2 or 3 at home if you can avoid it. Want to at least keep that momentum going, keep the wins going, and keep building on that confidence that we've seen them go through and have over the last 5 weeks. And, after that, after the series, we'll have next week the Home Run Derby, the All-Star game, and the build-up and the lead-up to the second half of the season, as we're going to talk about that next week. We'll recap the weekend series against Cleveland, and we got a lot more to talk about here on Marlins Daily next week. Thanks so much for being here with us today. I'll see you all next week. Have a great weekend.